The orc woman's shadow fell across his face, and she wondered if he could feel it, wherever he was. Talla Ashmer had not left the loft in 9 days. The healer, a gray-haired woman named Murin who smelled of sage and linseed oil, brought up water and broth and bread twice daily, set them on the low table beside the cot, and left without a word. The 4th day she had tried to insist that Talla rest downstairs, that she would watch the human through the night, but Talla had simply shaken her head. Murin had not asked again. The man on the cot was named Owen Voss. She knew because she had searched his pack before the bandits could take it, before she had hoisted him over her shoulder and run 3 miles through scrub pine to the nearest settlement. The pack had held dried meat, a whetstone, 2 letters addressed to a merchant in Gallowreach, and a leather folder stamped with a broken wax seal. She had not read the letters. They were not hers to read. But his name had been on the outside, and so she knew it. She did not know why she stayed. That was a lie. She knew. She simply did not want to examine it too closely. Talla dipped the rag in the basin and wrung it out, then wiped his forehead. His skin was warm but not feverish. Murin said that was good. Murin said a lot of things. Most of them boiled down to the same conclusion. He might wake, or he might not. The blow to his head had been severe. The rockslide had caught him square, and though Talla had been 20 paces away when it happened, she had heard the crack of stone on skull. She had thought him dead when she pulled the first boulder off his chest, but he had been breathing. Shallow, rattling breaths that barely moved his ribs, but breathing. And so she had carried him here. The settlement was called Fern Hollow, an optimistic name for 6 buildings and a well. Murin's house was the largest, 2 stories with the loft reserved for the sick and injured. Most of the time it sat empty. Fern Hollow was too small to generate much business, and travelers on the frontier road were few. The caravan Talla had been guarding was the first to pass through in a month, according to Murin. The caravan had moved on without her. She had told the master, a gruff man named Callum, to go. He had offered to wait a day. She had refused. The cargo was time-sensitive, and she would not be the reason it spoiled. Callum had paid her half wages and left at dawn the next morning. Talla had not regretted it, not once in 9 days. She set the rag aside and picked up the bowl of broth. It was cold now. She had been trying to spoon it between his lips every few hours, tilting his head, coaxing his throat to swallow. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes the broth ran down his chin and she wiped it away and tried again. She tried now. His lips were cracked and dry. She touched the spoon to them and waited. Nothing. She tilted his head just slightly and let a few drops slide into his mouth. His throat convulsed. He swallowed. "Good," she said. Her voice was rough from disuse. She had not spoken to anyone but him in days, and he could not hear her. "That is good. You need to keep your strength." She gave him another spoonful, and another. Half the bowl before his throat stopped cooperating. She set it aside and leaned back in her chair. The chair was wooden and hard, and her back ached from days of sitting, but she did not move. She watched his chest rise and fall. She counted the breaths. 23 before she stopped. Outside, the sun was setting. The light through the single window turned gold and then orange and then died. Murin brought a lamp and set it on the table without a word. Talla nodded her thanks. Murin left. The lamp flickered. Shadows danced on the wall. Talla watched them and then watched the man again. Owen. His hair was dark, matted with old blood that she had tried to wash out. His jaw was shadowed with 9 days of beard. He looked older than she had first thought. 30, maybe older. It was hard to tell with humans. She wondered what he would think when he woke and saw her here. If he woke, she wondered if he would be afraid. Most humans were. She had grown used to it. The stairs, the wide berth, the hands that moved toward weapons. She had been a caravan guard for 3 years, and the fear never quite went away. Some hid it better than others. Callum had been good about it. He judged her on her work, not her tusks. But even he had never invited her to sit at the fire with the others. She touched her tusks now, self-conscious. They were small, barely protruding past her lower lip, but they marked her as clearly as her green skin and pointed ears. She had tried filing them down once, years ago. It had hurt and bled and accomplished nothing. They grew back. "I do not know why I am telling you this," she said to the unconscious man. "You cannot hear me." But she had been talking to him for days. It felt wrong to stop now. "The bandits are still out there," she said. "The ones who caused the slide. I saw 2 of them watching from the ridge. They did not follow me, but they will be looking for what you carry. Murren says travelers have been attacked 3 times this month on the same stretch of road. Always rock slides, always coordinated. They take the cargo and leave the bodies." She paused. His expression did not change. "You are lucky I was there," she said. "Or perhaps I am lucky, I do not know." She fell silent. The lamp burned low. She trimmed the wick and watched the flame steady. Outside, a dog barked. Voices drifted up from below, muffled and indistinct. Murren and someone else. A man. Talla tensed, listening, but the voices faded. A visitor, maybe, or someone buying herbs. She settled back into the chair. Her hand moved almost without thinking and rested on the edge of the cot, close to his. Not touching. "My name is Talla," she said quietly, "in case you were wondering." The night deepened. She dozed in the chair, waking every hour to check his breathing, to wet his lips, to adjust the blanket. The hours blurred together. She lost track of time. The lamp burned out and she did not refill it. The darkness was complete, broken only by the faint square of the window where starlight pooled. She thought about leaving. She thought about it every night. She could walk downstairs, out the door, and be gone before dawn. Find another caravan. Move on. He was not her responsibility. She had done more than enough. But she did not move. The 9th day dawned gray and cold. Murren brought porridge and hot tea and looked at Talla with something like pity. Talla ignored it. She ate the porridge and drank the tea and returned to her chair. Owen's breathing had changed. It was deeper now, more regular. She watched him carefully. His eyelids twitched. Once, twice. His fingers curled against the blanket. She leaned forward. "Owen." Nothing. She waited. Minutes passed. An hour. The sun climbed higher. Light spilled through the window, pale and watery. She was about to sit back when his eyes opened. They were blue. Pale blue, like ice on a winter pond. They stared at the ceiling, unfocused, blinking slowly. His brow furrowed. His lips moved, but no sound came out. Talla froze. She did not breathe. She did not move. Then his head turned just slightly and his eyes found hers. They stared at each other. He looked confused, lost. His mouth opened and closed. He swallowed, winced, tried again. "What?" His voice was a rasp, barely audible. "What is your name?" Talla's breath caught. Of all the things she had expected him to say, that was not one of them. Not "where am I," not "what happened," not "who are you," "what is your name?" "Talla," she said. Her voice shook. She cleared her throat. "My name is Talla." He blinked. His gaze was still hazy, but it sharpened slightly as he looked at her green skin, her tusks, her pointed ears. She waited for the fear, for the recoil. It did not come. "Talla," he repeated, his eyes closed. "Talla," and then he was asleep again, not unconscious, asleep. She could tell by the way his breathing evened out, the way his hand relaxed against the blanket. She sat back in her chair. Her heart was pounding. She pressed a hand to her chest and felt the thud of it, too fast, too hard. She did not understand what she was feeling. Relief, yes. But something else. Something she could not name. Murren came up an hour later and examined him with brisk efficiency. She checked his pulse, his eyes, the wound on his head. She grunted, satisfied. "He will wake again soon," she said. "Properly this time, he will be weak, confused. Do not let him try to stand." She looked at Talla. "You should rest. You look like death." "I am fine." "You are not, but I will not argue." Murren gathered her supplies and headed for the stairs. She paused at the top. "You did well, girl. He owes you his life." Talla said nothing. Murren left. He woke again near dusk. This time his eyes were clear. He looked around the loft, taking in the low ceiling, the narrow window, the table with its clutter of bowls and bandages. Then he looked at her. "Talla," he said, not a question, a statement. "Yes, how long?" "9 days." His eyes widened. He tried to sit up and gasped, collapsing back against the pillow. His hand went to his head, fingers probing the bandage gingerly. "Do not move," Talla said. She stood, crossed to the table, and poured water from the pitcher into a cup. She brought it to him and held it to his lips. "Drink." He drank. Small sips at first, then deeper. Water ran down his chin and she wiped it away with her sleeve. When the cup was empty, she set it aside and sat on the edge of the cot. He watched her warily, not with fear, with caution. "Where am I?" he asked. "Fern Hollow, a settlement half a day south of where you were attacked." "Attacked?" "A rockslide. Bandits triggered it. You were caught in the slide. I pulled you out and brought you here." He was quiet for a long moment, processing. "You are an orc." "Yes." "You saved me." "Yes." Why, there it was. The question she had been dreading. She did not have a good answer. Or rather, she had several answers and none of them felt true. "Because you were dying," she said finally. "And I was there." He studied her. His gaze was direct, unflinching. It made her uncomfortable. She was used to people looking at her. She was not used to people seeing her. "Thank you," he said. She nodded. She did not know what to say. "What is your name?" he asked. She blinked. "I already told you, Talla. I know, I heard you the first time." His lips twitched, almost a smile. "I meant your full name." "Talla Ashmer." "Owen Voss." He paused. "Though I suppose you already know that. I looked through your pack. I needed to know who to send word to if you died." "Did you send word?" "No, you did not die." "No," he agreed. "I did not." Silence stretched between them. It was not uncomfortable. Talla found that surprising. "Do you remember what happened?" she asked. He frowned, concentrating. "I was on the road, traveling north. I was." He trailed off. "I do not remember. There was something important, but I cannot." "It will come back," Talla said. She had no idea if that was true, but it seemed like the thing to say. "Murren, the healer, says head wounds often cause memory loss. It may take time." "Murren, the old woman who keeps poking me, that is her. She is terrifying. She is competent." Those are not mutually exclusive. This time Talla did smile, just a small one, but it felt strange on her face. She had not smiled in days. Owen's eyes drifted closed. "I am tired. Sleep. You need it." "Will you be here when I wake?" The question caught her off guard. She hesitated. "Do you want me to be?" "Yes." "Then I will be." He nodded, satisfied, and sleep took him. Talla watched him for a moment, then returned to her chair. Her legs ached. Her back ached. She ignored both and settled into wait. Murren brought stew and bread and raised an eyebrow when she saw Owen sleeping. "He woke," Talla said. "Twice. He is lucid now." "Good. Keep giving him water, broth when he can manage it. He will need to eat soon or he will not have the strength to recover." Murren set the tray down. "This is for you. Eat." Talla ate. The stew was thick with vegetables and venison, and she realized she was ravenous. She could not remember the last time she had eaten a full meal. Murren watched her with a critical eye. "You will stay?" Murren asked. "For now, and after, I do not know." Murren grunted. She did not press. Talla was grateful for that. Owen woke again in the middle of the night. Talla was dozing in her chair and jerked awake at the sound of his voice. "Talla, I am here." I thought I dreamed you. You did not. He turned his head to look at her. The lamp was burning low and his face was half in shadow. Why are you still here? It was a fair question. She did not have a fair answer. I do not know, she admitted. You could have left days ago. Yes, but you stayed. Yes. Why? She met his gaze. His eyes were steady, patient. He was not demanding an answer. He was simply asking. I thought someone should be here when you woke, she said finally. I did not want you to be alone. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Thank you. She nodded. Her throat felt tight. Tell me about yourself, he said. What? I have been asleep for 9 days. You have been here the entire time. I know nothing about you except your name. Tell me something. What do you want to know? Anything. Where are you from? What do you do? Why were you on that road? She hesitated. She was not used to talking about herself. But he was watching her with genuine curiosity, and she found she did not want to disappoint him. I am a caravan guard, she said. I was escorting a merchant train from Greystone to Gallowreach. You were traveling the same road in the opposite direction. The bandits attacked and I fought them off, but they triggered the rockslide as they retreated. You were caught in it. A guard. That makes sense. You carried me 3 miles. Yes. That is impressive, she shrugged. I am strong, clearly. He paused. Where is your caravan now? Gone. They could not wait. The cargo was perishable. So you are stranded here because of me. I am not stranded. I chose to stay. Still, you gave up your wages, your contract, half wages, and it was my choice. He looked at her for a long moment. You are a strange woman, Talla Ashmer. She stiffened. What does that mean? It means I do not understand you, but I am grateful you are here. She relaxed just slightly. You should sleep. I have been sleeping for 9 days. Your body needs rest to heal. My body is tired of resting. He tried to sit up again and this time managed it, though he went pale with the effort. He leaned back against the wall and closed his eyes, breathing hard. That was a mistake. I told you not to move. You are not my mother. No, I am the person who kept you alive for 9 days. The least you can do is listen to me. He opened one eye. Are you always this bossy? Only when people are being foolish, he smiled. It was the first real smile she had seen from him, and it transformed his face. He looked younger, less severe. Fair enough. She handed him the cup of water. He drank slowly, carefully. When he was done, she set the cup aside and studied him. The color was returning to his face. His hands were steady. He was recovering quickly. That was good. You remember anything else? She asked. His smile faded. Fragments, nothing that makes sense. I remember being on the road. I remember thinking I needed to hurry. But I do not remember why. You were carrying letters and a sealed folder. I put them in your pack. Murrin has it downstairs. He frowned. Letters to who? A merchant in Gallowreach. I do not know what was in the folder. And the bandits? You said they were after what I was carrying. I think so. They have been attacking travelers on that stretch of road for weeks. Always the same method. Rock slides, coordinated, professional. You think they knew I was coming? I think it is possible. He rubbed his face, wincing when his fingers brushed the bandage. I need to see those letters and the folder. Not tonight. You are too weak. Talla, no. Her voice was firm. You can barely sit up. If you try to stand, you will collapse. Rest tonight. Tomorrow you can look at the letters. He looked like he wanted to argue, but he must have seen the determination in her eyes because he sighed and nodded. Tomorrow. Tomorrow. He slid back down carefully until he was lying flat again. He closed his eyes. Will you tell me about yourself? It helps, listening to your voice. She was surprised. What do you want to know? Where are you from? A village called Stonefell. It is 3 weeks north of here, near the mountains. Mostly orcs, a few humans. It is small. You have family there. My mother, 2 brothers. I have not seen them in 3 years. Why not? I left to find work. There was none in Stonefell. I send money when I can. You are a good daughter. She did not know how to respond to that. I do what I must. Still. He was quiet for a moment. Do you miss them? Yes. Then why not go back? Because there is still no work. And because, she trailed off, because I do not belong there anymore. I have seen too much, done too much. When I go back, I feel like a stranger in my own home. He opened his eyes and looked at her. I understand that. Do you? Yes. He did not elaborate. She did not push. They sat in silence. The lamp flickered. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the shutters. Talla stood and crossed to the window, securing the latch. When she turned back, Owen was watching her. You should sleep too, he said. I will, in a bed, not in that chair. The chair is fine. Talla, Owen, he smiled faintly, stubborn, practical. Those are not mutually exclusive. She found herself smiling again. Go to sleep. Yes, madam. He closed his eyes. Within minutes his breathing evened out. Talla returned to her chair and watched him sleep. The wind howled outside. The lamp burned low. She trimmed the wick and settled in for another night of waiting, but this time it felt different. This time she was not watching a dying man. She was watching Owen Voss, who had woken up and asked her name first, and who made her smile without trying. She did not know what that meant. She was not sure she wanted to. The next day, Owen insisted on sitting up properly. Talla helped him, supporting his weight as he swung his legs over the side of the cot. He sat there for a moment, breathing hard, his face pale. This is humiliating, he muttered. This is healing, Talla corrected. It takes time. I do not have time. You do not have a choice. He shot her a look but did not argue. Murrin came up with porridge and tea and examined him with her usual brisk efficiency. She declared him out of immediate danger but warned he would be weak for days, possibly weeks. Owen listened with barely concealed impatience. I need my pack, he said when Murrin finished. I will bring it, Murrin said. But if you tear those stitches open trying to do something foolish, I will not be gentle when I sew you up again. Noted. Murrin left and returned a few minutes later with the pack. She set it on the table and gave Owen a pointed look before heading back downstairs. Owen reached for the pack, fumbling with the straps. Talla took it from him and opened it. What do you need? She asked. The letters and the folder. She pulled them out and handed them over. Owen unfolded the first letter and read it slowly, his brow furrowed. Then the second. Then he opened the folder and stared at the papers inside for a long time. Do you remember? Talla asked. Some of it, enough. He looked up at her. These are contracts, land deeds for a settlement near Gallowreach. They are worth a significant amount of money, and they are supposed to be delivered to a man named Marcus Brennan. If they do not arrive by the end of the month, the sale falls through. And the bandits knew. Someone told them. His jaw tightened. This was not random. They knew what I was carrying and when I would be on that road. Who knew? The merchant who hired me, his clerk, maybe others, I do not know. He looked at the papers again. I need to get these to Gallowreach, soon. You can barely sit up, I know. But if I do not deliver these in time, people lose their homes, their livelihoods. I gave my word. Talla studied him. His expression was set, determined. She could see the stubborn resolve in his eyes. He would push himself until he collapsed if she let him. How long do you have? She asked. 12 days. Gallowreach is a week from here on horseback, longer on foot. You do not have a horse, I know. And you are in no condition to travel. I know that too. Then what do you plan to do? He met her gaze. I will figure it out. I have to. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I will help you. He blinked. What? I will help you get the contracts to Gallowreach. I can travel faster than you. If we leave in 2 days when you are stronger, we can make it in time. Talla, you do not have to. I know I do not have to. I am offering. Why? She hesitated. She was not sure she could put it into words, but she tried. Because you asked my name first. Because you did not flinch when you saw me, because I have sat by your bedside for 9 days and I would like to see this through." He stared at her. "That is the most honest thing anyone has ever said to me." She looked away, uncomfortable. "Will you accept my help or not?" "Yes, thank you," she nodded. "Then rest. We leave in 2 days." 2 days, he agreed, but fate, as it so often did, had other plans. That night Talla was woken by the sound of breaking glass. She was on her feet instantly, her hand going to the knife at her belt. Owen was awake too, his eyes wide in the darkness. "What was that?" he whispered. "Stay here." "Talla, stay here." She moved to the stairs, her footsteps silent. Below she could hear voices. Men. Rough, angry, the sound of furniture scraping. Murren's voice sharp and defiant. Talla descended the stairs slowly, keeping to the shadows. The main room of the house was lit by a single candle. 3 men stood in the center, all armed. Murren faced them, her arms crossed, her expression furious. "I told you there is no one here," Murren said. "We know he is here," one of the men said. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with a scar running down his cheek. "The orc brought him. We have been watching." "Then you have been wasting your time. He died 2 days ago. I buried him myself." The man stepped closer, looming over Murren. "You are lying. I am not. Then you will not mind if we search the house." "I do mind. Get out." The man backhanded her. Murren stumbled, catching herself on the table. Blood trickled from her lip. Talla moved before she thought. She crossed the room in 3 strides, grabbed the man by the shoulder and spun him around. He had time to register surprise before her fist connected with his jaw. He dropped like a stone. The other 2 men reacted instantly. One lunged at her with a knife. She sidestepped, caught his wrist and twisted. The knife clattered to the floor. She drove her knee into his stomach and he doubled over, gasping. The 3rd man pulled a cudgel from his belt and swung at her head. She ducked, felt the wind of it pass over her and kicked his legs out from under him. He went down hard. She was on him in an instant, her knife at his throat. "Leave," she said. Her voice was cold. "Now." The man with the scarred face groaned and pushed himself up on his elbows. He stared at Talla, his eyes wide. "You are dead, all of you." When the boss hears, Talla pressed the knife harder. A bead of blood welled up. "Your boss can come himself if he wants, but you are leaving. Now." The scarred man scrambled to his feet, pulling his companion up. The 3rd man followed, clutching his ribs. They stumbled toward the door, glancing back at her with a mix of fear and fury. The scarred man spat blood onto the floor. "This is not over," he said. "Yes," Talla said. "It is." They left. Talla waited until she heard the sound of hoofbeats fading into the distance before she lowered the knife. She turned to Murren, who was wiping blood from her lip with the back of her hand. "Are you all right?" Talla asked. "I am fine. Just a split lip." Murren looked at her. "Thank you." Talla nodded. She glanced at the stairs. Owen was standing at the top, gripping the railing for support. He looked pale and unsteady, but his eyes were sharp. "We need to leave," he said. "Tonight." "You are too weak," Talla said. "I am weak enough that I will slow you down. But if we stay here, they will come back with more men, and Murren will be in danger." He was right. Talla hated that he was right, but he was. "I will be fine," Murren said. "I have dealt with bandits before. You 2 need to get those contracts to Gallerich. That is what matters." "We cannot just leave you," Talla said. "You can and you will. I am an old woman, and old women are not worth the trouble. They will not bother me once you are gone." Murren crossed to a cupboard and pulled out a satchel. She began packing it with bread, dried meat, a water skin. "You will need supplies, and a horse. There is a stable 2 miles east. Tell the owner I sent you. His name is Darren. He owes me a favor." "Murren, no arguments. Go." She handed the satchel to Talla, then turned to Owen. "You are a fool for trying to travel in your condition." But you are a stubborn fool and those tend to survive. Keep the wound clean. Change the bandage every day. And for the love of the gods, do not do anything stupid." Owen nodded. "Thank you for everything." Murrin waved a hand. "Go, before those idiots come back with reinforcements." Talla helped Owen down the stairs. He moved slowly, leaning heavily on her, but he moved. They slipped out the back door and into the night. The air was cold and sharp, the stars bright overhead. Talla could hear the distant sound of voices, shouts, but they were fading. They walked east, following the road. Owen's breathing was labored and twice he stumbled. Talla caught him both times, steadying him. "I am sorry," he said. "For what?" "For being dead weight." "You are not dead, that is what matters," he laughed, a short, breathless sound. "Fair point." They reached the stable an hour later. It was a small building, barely more than a shed, with a corral out front. A single lantern burned in the window. Talla knocked on the door. A moment later it opened, revealing a thin man with a grizzled beard and suspicious eyes. "We are closed," he said. "Murrin sent us," Talla said. "She said to tell you she is calling in her favor." The man's expression changed. He looked at them, at Owen leaning heavily on Talla, and nodded. "Come in." He led them into the stable. There were 3 horses, all sturdy-looking. He gestured to a brown mare with a white blaze. "This one is yours. Her name is Copper. She is steady and will not spook easy. You will need a saddle. I have one that will fit." He paused, looking at Owen. "Can you ride?" "Yes," Owen said. "Good, because I am not lending you a cart." He saddled the horse quickly, efficiently, and handed Talla the reins. "Murrin saved my daughter's life 5 years ago. This makes us even. Tell her I said so." "I will," Talla said. They left before dawn. Talla helped Owen into the saddle and climbed up behind him. He was too weak to ride alone, and she would not risk him falling. She wrapped one arm around his waist, holding him steady, and took the reins with the other. Copper started forward at a walk, then a trot. Owen swayed but did not fall. "You can sleep if you need to," Talla said. "I will hold you." "I am fine," he said. But his voice was tired, and within an hour he was leaning back against her, his head resting on her shoulder. She could feel the heat of him through her shirt, the rise and fall of his chest. She adjusted her grip, holding him more securely, and urged Copper into a steady canter. The road stretched out before them, pale and empty under the stars. Talla did not look back. They traveled through the night and into the morning. When the sun rose, Talla stopped to let Copper rest and to check on Owen. He was pale and sweating, but his eyes were clear. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Like I was hit by a rockslide," he said, "but I will live." She handed him the water skin. He drank deeply and handed it back. "Thank you." "For this, for everything. We are not there yet, no, but we will be." She helped him down from the saddle, and he sat on a fallen log, his head in his hands. Talla pulled out the bread and dried meat and handed him a share. He ate slowly, mechanically. She ate too, watching the road behind them. "Do you think they will follow?" Owen asked. "Yes." "How long do we have? A day, maybe less. They will need to regroup and track us, but they know where we are going. Then we need to move fast." "We need to move smart," Talla corrected. "If we push too hard, you will collapse." "Then we will be caught for certain." He looked at her. "You are enjoying this," she blinked. "What? Being right, telling me what to do?" She felt her lips twitch. "Perhaps a little," he smiled. "Fair enough." They rested for an hour, then continued. The road wound through pine forests and open fields, crossing shallow streams and climbing low hills. Talla kept Copper at a steady pace, fast enough to make good time, but not so fast that Owen could not handle it. He slept fitfully, waking every few hours to drink water and shift his weight. By midday they reached a crossroads. Talla stopped, studying the signs. One pointed north to Gallowreach, the other pointed east to a town called Red Hill. "We should go through Red Hill," Owen said. It is a detour, but there will be people there, safety in numbers. Or the bandits could be waiting for us there, expecting us to take the safer route. Then what do you suggest? We stay on the main road. We travel at night. We avoid settlements. That is risky. Everything is risky. He was quiet for a moment, then he nodded. You are right. We go straight. They continued north. The day wore on, the sun climbing high and then sinking toward the horizon. Talla's back ached from hours in the saddle, and her arms were sore from holding Owen steady. But she did not complain. She had done harder things. As dusk fell, they stopped again. Talla helped Owen down, and he sat heavily, his face gray with exhaustion. She tended to Copper, checking her hooves and giving her grain from the satchel. Then she turned to Owen. Let me see your wound, she said. He hesitated, then pulled off his shirt. The bandage was stained with blood, old and new. Talla unwrapped it carefully, revealing the stitched gash on his scalp. It looked inflamed but not infected. She cleaned it with water from the stream nearby and applied a fresh bandage. You should be resting in a bed, not riding a horse, she said. I know, but we do not have a choice. We always have a choice. Do we? He looked at her. You chose to stay by my bedside for 9 days. You chose to help me. Why? She tied off the bandage and sat back. I told you because you asked my name first. That is not a reason. That is an excuse. She met his gaze. What do you want me to say? The truth. She was silent for a long moment. Then she said, I do not know why. I just knew I had to. Does that make sense? No, he said, but I believe you. They sat by the stream as the stars came out. Talla built a small fire, just enough to warm them but not so large it would be visible from the road. Owen leaned against a tree, his eyes closed, his breathing shallow. She watched him and felt something twist in her chest. She did not understand it. She did not want to. Talla, he said without opening his eyes. Yes. If we do not make it, if the bandits catch us, I want you to take the contracts and run. Leave me behind. No, Talla, no, she said again. Her voice was firm. We make it together or not at all. He opened his eyes and looked at her. You are the most stubborn woman I have ever met. Good. He smiled faintly. Good. They slept in shifts, Talla taking the first watch. The night was quiet except for the rustle of wind through the trees and the distant call of an owl. She kept her knife close and her eyes on the road. When it was Owen's turn to watch, she woke him gently. He sat up, wincing, and took her place by the fire. She lay down on the ground, her head on the satchel, and closed her eyes. She did not expect to sleep, but exhaustion pulled her under within minutes. She woke to the sound of hoofbeats. Talla was on her feet instantly, her knife in her hand. Owen was already awake, his eyes wide. The hoofbeats were growing louder, coming from the south. At least 3 horses, maybe more. They found us, Owen said. Get on the horse, Talla said. Now. She kicked dirt over the fire and grabbed the satchel. Owen pulled himself into the saddle, his face pale with pain. Talla climbed up behind him and urged Copper into a gallop. The mare responded instantly, her hooves pounding against the packed earth. Behind them, the hoofbeats grew louder. Talla glanced back and saw torches, 3 of them, weaving through the trees. The bandits were closing fast. Can she go faster? Owen asked. Not with both of us. She is already carrying too much weight. Then we need to lose them. How? There. He pointed to the left, where the road split off toward a dense thicket. If we can get into the trees, they will not be able to follow on horseback. Talla yanked the reins and Copper veered left, crashing into the underbrush. Branches whipped at them, tearing at their clothes. Owen ducked low, shielding his face. Talla kept her head down and her grip tight on the reins. The thicket was dense, nearly impassable. Copper stumbled, her hooves catching on roots and rocks. Behind them, the bandits shouted. Talla heard the sound of horses neighing, men cursing. They were trying to follow, but the underbrush was too thick. Talla urged Copper deeper into the trees. The mare obeyed, her breath coming in hard gasps. They burst out of the thicket into a clearing, and Talla pulled the reins, bringing Copper to a halt. She listened. The shouts were fading, moving away from them. The bandits had lost their trail. "We need to keep moving," Owen said. "They will search the area." Talla nodded. She guided Copper across the clearing and into another stretch of forest. They moved slowly, quietly, letting the trees swallow them. The moon was high and bright, casting silver light through the branches. Talla could see the road in the distance, a pale ribbon cutting through the darkness. They traveled through the night, staying off the road, moving through the forest. By dawn, they were miles ahead of the bandits. Talla stopped by a stream to let Copper drink and to check on Owen. He was barely conscious, slumped forward in the saddle. "Owen," she said, shaking him gently. He jerked awake, his eyes unfocused. "What? We are safe, for now, but you need to rest." "No time." "There is always time to rest if you are dead," he laughed, a weak sound. "You have a way with words." She helped him down and he collapsed onto the ground. She covered him with her cloak and checked his wound. It was bleeding again, soaking through the bandage. She cursed under her breath and applied pressure, waiting for the bleeding to stop. It took an hour. By the time she was done, the sun was fully up and Owen was asleep. Talla sat beside him, exhausted, and let herself close her eyes for just a moment. When she woke, the sun was high and Owen was sitting up, drinking from the water skin. "You should have woken me," he said. "You needed the rest. So did you." "I am fine." He looked at her. "You have been saying that for days, but I can see how tired you are," she shrugged. "We all do what we must." "Yes," he said quietly, "we do." They continued north, staying off the road, moving through fields and forests. The days blurred together. Talla lost track of time. All she knew was the steady rhythm of Copper's hooves, the weight of Owen against her, the endless stretch of road ahead. On the 5th day, Owen's memory began to return. It started with fragments. A face. A name. A conversation. By evening he was able to piece together the full story. "The merchant who hired me is named Thomas Gray," he said. They were camped by a river, the water rushing over smooth stones. "He is based in Milford, a town 2 days south of where the attack happened. He hired me to deliver the contracts because I am known for being reliable. But someone in his household knew what I was carrying. They told the bandits." "Who?" Talla asked. "I do not know, but I intend to find out after we deliver the contracts. You think they will try again? I know they will. Those contracts are worth too much money, but we are close now. 2 more days and we will be in Gallerich." Talla nodded. 2 more days. She could manage 2 more days. That night she dreamed of green hills and stone houses, of her mother's voice calling her home. She woke with tears on her cheeks and wiped them away quickly, hoping Owen had not seen. But he had. He was sitting by the fire watching her. "Are you all right?" he asked. "I am fine. You were crying." "I was dreaming." "Of what?" She hesitated. Then she said, "Home." He was quiet for a moment, then he said, "Tell me about it." So she did. She told him about Stonefell, about the mountains that rose behind the village like jagged teeth, about the way the light turned the stone walls gold at sunset. She told him about her mother, who baked bread every morning and sang while she worked. About her brothers, who teased her mercilessly but always had her back. About the small house with its thatched roof and the garden where her mother grew herbs. "It sounds beautiful," Owen said. "It is, but it is not mine anymore." "Why not?" "Because I left." "And you cannot go back to a place you left." "Not really. It will never be the same." "Maybe not," he said. "But that does not mean it is not still yours." She looked at him. "Do you have a home?" "I did. Once. A farm outside a town called Ashford. My father raised horses. My mother kept bees." They are both gone now. The farm was sold years ago. I am sorry. It was a long time ago, he paused, but I still think about it. The smell of hay, the sound of the bees, the way my father used to whistle while he worked. You miss it. Every day. They sat in silence, the fire crackling between them. Talla felt something shift in her chest, something she could not name. She realized with a start that she was no longer just helping Owen because it was the right thing to do. She was helping him because she wanted to. Because sitting by this fire, listening to his voice, felt right in a way nothing else had in years. She did not say any of this. She did not know how. On the 7th day, they reached Gallowreach. The town was larger than Talla had expected, sprawling across a wide valley with fields stretching out in every direction. The walls were stone, high and thick, with guards posted at the gates. Talla pulled Copper to a stop at the edge of the road and looked at Owen. "Are you ready?" she asked. "Yes," he said. But his voice was tight. They rode through the gates without incident. The guards barely glanced at them, too busy checking wagons and collecting tolls. Inside, the town was bustling. Market stalls lined the streets, vendors shouting their wares. Children ran through the crowds, laughing. The smell of baking bread and roasting meat filled the air. Talla felt exposed. She could feel eyes on her, curious and wary. She kept her head down and her hand near her knife. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Marcus Brennan's office." "It is near the town square." They found it an hour later, a modest building with a painted sign above the door. Owen dismounted carefully, his face pale with effort. Talla helped him, then tied Copper to a post outside. "Wait here," Owen said. "No, Talla, we finish this together." He looked at her for a long moment, then he nodded. "Together." They went inside. The office was small, cluttered with papers and ledgers. A man sat behind a desk, middle-aged and balding, with a quill in his hand. He looked up as they entered, his eyes widening. "Owen Voss," he said. "Marcus Brennan," Owen replied. "Yes, good gods, man, we thought you were dead. What happened? Bandits, rockslide, long story." Owen pulled the folder from his satchel and set it on the desk. "The contracts, as promised." Marcus opened the folder, scanning the papers inside. His expression shifted from shock to relief to something like joy. "These are legitimate. The seals are intact. You did it. You actually did it. I had help." Owen glanced at Talla. "A lot of help." Marcus looked at her, really looked at her, and his expression shifted. Wariness crept into his eyes. "An orc." "Her name is Talla," Owen said. His voice was cold. "And without her you would not have those contracts." Marcus blinked. "I see. Well, thank you, miss. I appreciate your assistance." Talla said nothing. She did not trust her voice. Marcus cleared his throat. "I will have the payment ready by tomorrow. You can collect it then." "Good," Owen said. "We will return in the morning." They left the office. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Talla untied Copper and led her down the street. Owen walked beside her, silent. "That went well," Talla said finally. "He is an idiot," Owen said. "He thanked me." "He looked at you like you were a threat. I saw it. I am used to it." "That does not make it right." She glanced at him. "Why do you care?" He stopped walking and turned to face her. "Because you saved my life. Because you stayed by my bedside for 9 days. Because you fought off bandits and rode through the night and held me together when I was falling apart. And because you deserve better than to be looked at like you are something to fear." Talla stared at him. Her throat felt tight. "Owen, I mean it," he said. "You are the bravest person I have ever met, and I am honored to know you." She did not know what to say, so she said nothing. She just looked at him, at the sincerity in his eyes, and felt something warm unfold in her chest. They found an inn near the edge of town. The innkeeper was a gruff woman who took one look at Talla and quoted a price twice the normal rate. Owen paid without complaint and led Talla upstairs to a small room with 2 beds. "You should rest," he said. "You have earned it, so have you. I will. But first I need to change this bandage." She helped him, her hands steady as she unwrapped the old bandage and cleaned the wound. It was healing finally. The edges were knitting together, the inflammation gone. She applied a fresh bandage and stepped back. "You will have a scar," she said. "I do not mind. It will remind me." "Of what?" "Of the woman who saved me." She looked away, uncomfortable. "You should sleep." "Talla." "What?" "Thank you for everything," she nodded. "You are welcome." They slept in their separate beds, the room dark and quiet, but Talla found it hard to rest. Her mind kept drifting to Owen, to the way he had looked at her, to the words he had said. She had never had anyone speak to her like that before, with respect, with gratitude, with something that felt dangerously close to affection. She told herself it meant nothing. He was grateful, that was all. Once he collected his payment and they parted ways, he would forget about her. She would become just another story, another face in a long line of faces. But the thought made her chest ache. In the morning they returned to Marcus Brennan's office. He handed Owen a pouch heavy with coin and shook his hand. "You did good work, Voss," he said. "If you are ever looking for another job, come find me." "I will keep that in mind," Owen said. They left the office and stood in the street, the pouch of coin between them. Owen opened it and pulled out half the coins, offering them to Talla. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Giving you your share." "I did not do this for money, I know, but you earned it. Take it." She hesitated, then took the coins. They were heavy in her hand, more money than she had seen in months. Thank you," he said, "for everything." They stood there, awkward and uncertain. Talla did not know what to say. She did not know what happened next. Did they part ways here? Did she go back to looking for caravans to guard? Did he continue traveling, delivering contracts and risking his life? The thought of walking away made her feel hollow. "What will you do now?" Owen asked. "I do not know. Find work, I suppose. Another caravan, another job. And after that, she shrugged. More of the same." He was quiet for a moment, then he said, "I have a better idea." "What?" "Come with me," she blinked. "What?" "Come with me. I travel a lot. Deliveries, mostly. Sometimes other things. It is dangerous work, but you already know that, and I could use a partner, someone I trust." "Owen, I know it is sudden, but I mean it. We work well together, and I—" He trailed off, then started again. "I do not want this to end, whatever this is. I do not want to walk away and never see you again." Talla's heart was pounding. "Why?" "Because you asked me what my name was." "No, wait. I asked you what your name was." He smiled faintly. "Because you are stubborn and brave and you make me laugh. Because I feel like I can breathe when you are around. Because I woke up from a coma and the first thing I saw was you and I thought, this is someone worth knowing." She stared at him. "You do not even know me. I know enough. And I want to know more. This is foolish. Maybe. But so is sitting by a stranger's bedside for 9 days. She could not argue with that. "I do not know how to do this," she said quietly. "I do not know how to be someone's partner. I have spent my whole life alone. So have I. We will figure it out together." She looked at him, at the hope in his eyes, and felt the last of her resistance crumble. "All right," he blinked. "All right. Yes, I will come with you." His face broke into a smile, wide and genuine. "You will?" "Yes. But if you slow me down or make me regret this, I will leave you on the side of the road." He laughed. "Fair enough." They left Gallereach that afternoon, riding north. The road stretched out before them, endless and full of possibility. Talla did not know where they were going. She did not know what would happen next. But for the first time in years, she felt like she was moving towards something instead of away. Owen rode in front of her now, strong enough to hold the reins himself. But she stayed close, her hand resting on his back, just in case. He glanced back at her and smiled, and she found herself smiling back. They traveled for weeks, taking odd jobs in small towns and frontier settlements. Owen delivered letters and packages. Talla guarded caravans and escorted travelers through dangerous territory. They worked well together, anticipating each other's moves, covering each other's blind spots. And slowly, carefully, they learned each other. She learned that Owen was terrible at cooking but insisted on trying anyway. That he had a scar on his ribs from a knife fight in his 20s. That he whistled when he was nervous and hummed when he was happy. That he was fiercely loyal and deeply stubborn and utterly incapable of asking for help. He learned that Talla could go days without speaking and be perfectly content. That she had a dry sense of humor that caught him off guard. That she was stronger than she looked and faster than she had any right to be. That she had nightmares sometimes, waking in a cold sweat, and the best thing he could do was sit with her until she fell back asleep. They learned to trust each other, to rely on each other, to care for each other in ways that went beyond simple partnership. And somewhere along the way, without either of them quite realizing it, they fell in love. It was not a dramatic moment. There was no grand declaration. It was 1,000 small things. The way Owen handed her a cup of tea without her asking. The way Talla adjusted his bandage even after the wound had healed. The way they sat by the fire in comfortable silence, their shoulders touching. The way they looked at each other when they thought the other was not watching. It was Owen reaching for her hand one evening and Talla not pulling away. It was Talla resting her head on his shoulder and Owen wrapping his arm around her. It was the slow, steady realization that they had become essential to each other, that the thought of being apart was unbearable. One night, camped by a river under a sky full of stars, Owen finally said it. "I love you." Talla looked at him. Her heart was pounding. "What? I love you," he said again. "I have for a while now, I just did not know how to say it." She stared at him, speechless. Then she said, "Why?" He laughed softly. "Because you are you, because you are brave and strong and kind, because you stayed by my bedside when you had no reason to, because you make me feel like I am not alone, because I cannot imagine my life without you in it." Tears pricked at her eyes. She blinked them away. "I do not know how to do this. I have never. I do not know how to love someone." "Neither do I," he said, "but I want to try with you." She looked at him, at the sincerity in his eyes, and felt something break open inside her. "I love you too," she said. Her voice was shaking. "I do not know when it happened, but I do. I love you." He smiled, slow and warm, and pulled her close. She rested her head against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart, and felt something settle inside her. This was home, not a place, not a village or a town or a house, but this. Him. Them. They stayed by the river for 3 days, just the two of them, learning what it meant to be together. They talked and laughed and kissed under the stars. They made plans for the future, tentative and uncertain but full of hope. "We could buy a piece of land," Owen said. "Somewhere quiet, build a house. Raise horses, maybe." "You want to be a farmer?" Talla asked, amused. "Why not? My father was a farmer. I know how to work the land." "And what would I do?" "Whatever you want. Guard the horses, hunt, sit around and tell me I am doing everything wrong." She laughed. "That does sound appealing." "We do not have to decide now," he said, "but I want you to know that I am not going anywhere. Whatever we do it together." "Together," she agreed. They left the river and continued traveling, taking jobs as they came. The weeks turned into months. Autumn arrived, painting the world in shades of gold and red. They were in a small town called Briarwood when Owen proposed. It was not planned. They were sitting in a tavern, sharing a meal, when he suddenly reached across the table and took her hand. "Marry me," he said. She blinked. "What?" "Marry me. I know it is sudden. I know we have only been together for a few months, but I do not want to wait. I do not want to waste time. I love you, Talla. I want to spend the rest of my life with you." She stared at him. Her heart was racing. "Are you serious?" "Completely." "People will talk. A human and an orc. It is not. It is not common. I do not care what people think. Your family, I have no family. You are my family now." Tears welled up in her eyes. She wiped them away, frustrated. "You make it very hard to say no." "Then do not say no, say yes." She looked at him, at the hope in his eyes, and felt her last hesitation crumble. "Yes," he smiled, wide and brilliant. "Yes, yes, I will marry you." He stood, pulling her up with him, and kissed her. The tavern erupted in applause and cheers. Talla laughed, surprised and embarrassed, but she did not pull away. She kissed him back, holding on tight, and felt like she was flying. They were married a week later in a small chapel on the edge of Briarwood. The priest was an old man with kind eyes who did not blink when he saw Talla. He performed the ceremony with quiet dignity, speaking of love and commitment and the bonds that tied people together. Owen wore his best shirt, clean and pressed. Talla wore a simple dress borrowed from the innkeeper's wife. They exchanged vows, promising to stand by each other, to protect each other, to love each other for as long as they lived. When the priest pronounced them husband and wife, Owen kissed her, slow and sweet, and Talla felt something inside her shift. She was no longer alone. She was no longer just Talla Ashmer, the orc guard with no place to belong. She was Talla Voss, wife of Owen Voss, and she had found her home. They left Briarwood the next day, heading west toward a stretch of frontier land that Owen had heard about. It was cheap, unclaimed, and far enough from civilization that no one would bother them. They bought the land with the money they had saved and began building. It took months. The work was hard, back-breaking, but they did it together. Owen felled trees and hauled logs. Talla dug the foundation and laid the stones. They worked from dawn until dusk, their hands blistered and sore, but they did not complain. This was theirs. This was home. By winter, the house was finished. It was small, just 2 rooms and a loft, but it was sturdy and warm. They spent their first night in it huddled by the fire, exhausted and happy. "We did it," Owen said. "We did," Talla agreed. "What do you think?" "I think it is perfect." He smiled and pulled her close. "I think so too." They spent the winter together, snowed in and content. Owen built furniture, a table and chairs and a bed frame. Talla hunted, keeping them fed with venison and rabbit. They read by the fire, played cards, and talked late into the night. Spring came, and with it, new challenges. They planted a garden, built a barn, and bought 3 horses from a neighboring farm. Owen trained them, patient and gentle, and Talla helped, learning as she went. It was not always easy. There were days when the work felt endless, when the isolation pressed down on them, when they argued over small things and went to bed angry. But they always woke up and tried again. They always found their way back to each other. By summer, the farm was thriving. The garden was full of vegetables, the horses were healthy, and they had even bought a few chickens. Talla stood in the doorway one evening, watching Owen work in the paddock, and felt a swell of contentment so strong it took her breath away. This was her life now. This was her home. And she would not trade it for anything. One evening in late summer, as they sat on the porch watching the sun set, Owen turned to her and said, "Do you ever regret it, staying by my bedside? Coming with me?" She looked at him, surprised. "No, never. Why do you ask?" "Because you gave up so much. Your work, your freedom, your chance to go home." "I did not give up anything," she said. "I chose this, I chose you, and I would choose you again every time." He smiled, soft and warm. "I am glad, because I do not know what I would do without you. You would be fine." "Stubborn and foolish, but fine," he laughed. "Probably." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sky turn from gold to pink to deep purple. Talla rested her head on his shoulder and felt his arm wrap around her. This was home. This was love. This was everything she had ever wanted and never known she needed. The years passed. The farm grew. They built a new barn, expanded the garden, and bought more horses. They became known in the nearby settlements as reliable, hard-working, and fair. People came to them for help, and they gave it freely. Talla never forgot the prejudice she had faced, the fear and mistrust. But here, on their land, with Owen by her side, it did not matter. She had found her place. She had found her people, or rather, her person. Owen never forgot the 9 days he spent in a coma, or the orc woman who had guarded his bedside. He thought about it often, especially on quiet evenings when Talla was sitting beside him, her hand in his. He thought about how easily things could have gone differently. How he could have woken alone or not woken at all. How he could have missed this, all of this, because of a rockslide and bad luck. But he had not. He had woken up and asked her name first, and that simple question had changed everything. One spring morning, 5 years after they were married, Talla woke feeling sick. She stumbled out of bed and barely made it outside before she vomited. Owen followed, concerned, and held her hair back as she retched. "Are you all right?" he asked. "I do not know," she said. "I feel terrible." "Maybe you ate something bad." "Maybe." But the sickness continued. Every morning for a week she woke feeling nauseous and exhausted. Owen insisted they see a healer, and so they rode to the nearest settlement and found a midwife named Clara. Clara examined Talla and then smiled. "You are pregnant." Talla stared at her. "What? Pregnant?" "About 2 months, I would guess." Talla looked at Owen. He looked back at her, his eyes wide. Then his face broke into a smile so wide it looked like it might split his face. "We are having a baby," he said. "We are having a baby," Talla repeated. She felt dizzy, happy, terrified. Owen pulled her into his arms and held her tight. "This is amazing. This is the best news." Talla held him back, her heart pounding. She had never thought about children. She had never imagined herself as a mother. But now, with Owen's arms around her and the knowledge that a life was growing inside her, she felt a surge of joy so strong it brought tears to her eyes. "We are going to be parents," she said. "Yes," Owen said. "We are." The pregnancy was not easy. Talla was sick for months, barely able to keep food down. She was exhausted all the time, her body aching and heavy. But Owen was there, every step of the way, bringing her water and rubbing her back and holding her when she cried. In the late autumn, as the leaves turned gold and red, Talla went into labor. Clara came to the house and helped deliver the baby, a long and painful process that left Talla exhausted and shaking. But when Clara placed the baby in her arms, a tiny girl with green skin and a tuft of dark hair, Talla forgot all the pain. "She is beautiful," Owen said, his voice choked with emotion. "She is," Talla agreed. They named her Clara after the midwife who had delivered her. She was a healthy, happy baby, with her mother's green skin and pointed ears and her father's blue eyes. She grew quickly, curious and fearless, and she brought a light into their lives that they had not known was missing. 2 years later, they had a son. They named him Quentin, a strong name for a strong boy. He had his father's dark hair and his mother's small tusks. He was quieter than his sister, more thoughtful, but just as loved. Life on the farm was full and busy. The children grew, learning to walk and talk and help with the chores. Clara loved the horses, spending hours in the barn brushing their coats and feeding them carrots. Quentin loved the garden, planting seeds and watching them grow with patient fascination. Owen and Talla worked together, raising their children and running the farm. It was hard work, exhausting and relentless, but they did it together. And they were happy, One evening, when Clara was 6 and Quentin was 4, Talla stood on the porch watching her family. Owen was in the paddock with Clara, teaching her how to saddle a horse. Quentin was in the garden, digging in the dirt with a stick. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Talla felt a swell of love so strong it took her breath away. This was her life. This was her family. This was everything she had ever wanted and more. Owen looked up and saw her watching. He smiled and waved. She waved back, her heart full. She thought about the 9 days she had spent by his bedside, watching him breathe, spooning broth into his mouth, talking to a man who could not hear her. She thought about the moment he had woken up and asked her name first. She thought about all the choices that had led her here, to this porch, to this family, to this life. And she knew with absolute certainty that she would not change a single thing. Owen walked over, leaving Clara to finish saddling the horse on her own. He climbed the porch steps and stood beside Talla, his arm wrapping around her waist. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "Everything," she said. "Nothing, how lucky I am." "We both are," he said. "Yes," she agreed. "We are." They stood there together, watching their children, watching the sun set, and felt the quiet contentment of a life well lived. They had traveled a long road to get here, full of danger and uncertainty and pain. But they had traveled it together, and that had made all the difference. "I love you," Owen said. "I love you too," Talla replied. And as the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, they stood together on the porch of the home they had built, surrounded by the family they had made, and knew that they had found exactly where they belonged.